Good morning. Let me begin by saying something that might surprise you. Hustle is not enough. Yes, hard work matters. The grind, the sweat, the sleepless nights, they all have their place. But if hustle alone was the answer, every hard-working person would be wildly successful. And we know that's not the case. Success doesn't just come from energy. It comes from direction, from intention, from systems. The difference between people who burn out and those who break through is this. They stop relying solely on hustle and start building systems that create consistent, repeatable, high-performance results. We live in a culture that glorifies the hustle, the late nights, the 80-hour work weeks, the idea that if you're not grinding, you're falling behind. And while there's value in being willing to outwork the competition, hustle without strategy eventually leads to exhaustion. The problem isn't hard work, it's directionless hard work. People hustle day after day, pouring energy into tasks without a clear system, without a measurable outcome, and without a plan to scale their efforts. That kind of hustle might get short-term results, but it's not a foundation you can build a life or a business on. Think about the people you admire most in your field. Chances are they're not just outworking everyone. They've built systems that allow them to operate at a high level without burning out. They've moved beyond hustle into something smarter, leveraged performance. They know where their energy goes every day, and they've created routines and tools to protect their time, streamline their priorities, and maximize output. Their success is not a result of working harder, but of working intentionally and systematically. Hustle, in its rawest form, is reactive. It's responding to everything that comes at you. Emails, calls, meetings, opportunities, without a filter or a system in place. It's being busy, not effective. And what happens when the demands grow? What happens when you scale your business, take on more clients, or step into a leadership role? If hustle is your only tool, you eventually hit a wall. You run out of hours. You run out of energy. And that's when you realize hustle may have gotten you here, but it won't get you there. The truth is, hustle is a beginner strategy. It's what we use when we don't yet know how to systemize, when we don't yet understand leverage. But if you want to play the long game, if you want to operate at a sustainable high-performance level, you must graduate from hustle to habits, from grinding to designing. You need a system that can grow with you, one that isn't dependent on how early you wake up or how late you stay. Systems don't get tired. Systems don't forget. Systems don't burn out. The danger of staying in hustle mode too long is that it starts to feel noble. You begin to tie your self-worth to how busy you are. You measure your value by how hard you push. But success isn't about effort alone. It's about results. And those results come when effort is paired with structure. When you learn to build systems that work even when you rest, that's when you move from hustler to high performer. Not because you've stopped working hard, but because now your work actually works for you. The modern world is full of distractions dressed as opportunities. You start your day with a plan, and by 10 a.m., you're knee-deep in emails, meetings, minor requests, and problems that aren't even yours to solve. The truth is, not everything deserves your time. And high performers understand this on a deep level. They know that focus is a competitive advantage. Prioritization isn't just a productivity tactic, it's a mindset shift. It's the decision to treat your time as the most valuable currency you own. Every minute you spend on low-value tasks is a minute you've stolen from something that actually moves you forward. The difference between being busy and being effective lies in your ability to say no, not just to others, but to yourself. That moment when you want to clean your inbox instead of making the important sales call, that's not productivity. That's avoidance disguised as activity. Learning to ruthlessly prioritize means recognizing that urgency and importance are not the same thing. At the heart of prioritization is the 80-20 principle. The idea that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. The challenge is identifying that high-leverage 20% and guarding it with everything you've got. It may be reaching out to key clients, designing new products, writing strategic content, or improving your offer. Whatever it is, once you find it, make it sacred. Build your entire schedule around it. Let everything else orbit around your true needle mover. One of the most dangerous traps for ambitious people is the addiction to being needed. You say yes to everything because you don't want to let anyone down, but when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to yourself. Ruthless prioritization requires courage. It means setting boundaries. It means disappointing some people in the short term so you can serve them better in the long term. It means understanding that your time is finite, and if you don't protect it, someone else will spend it for you. Most people build their days reactively. They open their inbox and start responding. High performers do the opposite. They build their days proactively, starting with what matters most. Before the world has a chance to hijack their schedule, they've already won the morning. They've already done the thing that truly matters. And because of that, even on a chaotic day, they still move forward. That's the power of prioritization. It creates momentum, even in the middle of madness. It's not just about doing fewer things. It's about doing the right things with more intensity. When you prioritize well, you create space to go deep, to enter flow, to focus, to do meaningful work without the constant noise of task switching. And in that depth, your value multiplies. You get more done in an hour than most people do in a day, not because you're smarter, but because you're selective. And that selectivity compounds over time into extraordinary results. Learning to prioritize ruthlessly also means developing the discipline to let go. Let go of perfection. Let go of the need to control every detail. Let go of doing everything yourself. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Delegate it, systemize it, or delete it. Reserve your energy for what only you can do. Your greatest ROI will always come from activities that align with your unique abilities and highest contribution. When you look at the most successful people across any industry, you'll notice they all have one thing in common. They don't try to do everything. They focus obsessively on a few key actions that drive results and eliminate everything else. It's not luck. It's not just talent. It's intentionality. They've learned that time is not just a resource, it's a responsibility. And how you spend it determines not just your productivity, but the quality of your life. There's a hidden truth behind every high performer's success. They don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. And at the core of every successful system is a repeatable routine. Motivation is fleeting. Some days you wake up on fire, and other days you can barely drag yourself out of bed. But routines don't care how you feel. They show up with or without your mood. When you build routines that reinforce the actions that matter, you take willpower out of the equation and lock in momentum. The beauty of routines is that they automate excellence. Think about it. If you had to consciously decide every day whether or not to do your most important tasks, you'd waste mental energy before the work even began. Routines remove that friction. They create a rhythm to your day, a structure that supports you in doing the work that moves you forward. When your habits are aligned with your goals, your day becomes a system of achievement, not a random string of reactions. Morning routines in particular are one of the most powerful tools you can implement. How you start your day often determines how you finish it. A strong morning routine centers your focus, primes your mind, and gives you a sense of control before the world starts making demands. Whether it's journaling, exercise, reading, or reviewing your goals, even 30 minutes of intentional action each morning can create massive leverage throughout the day. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. But routines aren't just for mornings, they're the foundation for every part of your life. High performers have routines for deep work, routines for meetings, routines for winding down, routines for resetting after setbacks. These aren't rigid scripts, they're flexible frameworks. The goal isn't to become robotic, but to become reliable. When your behaviors become predictable in a good way, your results follow suit. You become someone who can be counted on, even by yourself. The magic happens when routines move from conscious effort to unconscious execution. At first it takes discipline to follow through, but over time your brain wires those behaviors into habit. What once felt like effort now feels like second nature. You don't have to remind yourself to review your goals or block out time for focus work. It's just part of your flow. And that's when your routine becomes your advantage. While others are stuck in cycles of procrastination and inconsistency, you're in motion. Routines also act as an anchor during chaotic times. Life throws curveballs, projects get messy, and emotions fluctuate. But a strong routine keeps you grounded. When everything feels uncertain, there's comfort in knowing you can still control your actions. You can still follow your process. You can still stick to the fundamentals. That kind of consistency breeds confidence. You don't just hope things will work out. You know you're doing what it takes to make progress, no matter the storm. It's important to note that building effective routines requires intention and self-awareness. You don't want to fill your day with busy work disguised as structure. The goal is not to do more, but to do what matters most on autopilot. That's why reviewing and refining your routines is key. Ask yourself regularly, is this routine still serving me? Is it aligned with my current goals? What needs to be removed, added, or adjusted? Great routines are living systems, not static rules. In the end, your success is not determined by what you occasionally do, but by what you consistently repeat. One action done once might spark inspiration, but one action done daily creates transformation. When you build repeatable routines that align with your highest priorities, you design a life that performs with precision. You stop relying on chance and start operating with purpose. Your days become intentional, your energy becomes focused, and results become inevitable. We live in a world overflowing with noise, but performance lives in clarity. And clarity begins with measurement. If you don't know what you're aiming at, or whether you're hitting the mark, then you're not growing, you're guessing. High performers don't leave progress to hope or emotion. They track it, they measure it, because what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. Measuring what matters separates the amateurs from the pros, the hustlers from the high performers. Too often people get trapped measuring the wrong things. They obsess over vanity metrics, likes, views, vague impressions, metrics that feel good but mean nothing. Measuring what matters means identifying the core indicators that actually move the needle in your work and life. In business, it might be conversion rates, customer lifetime value, or retention. In fitness, it could be strength, consistency, or recovery. In personal growth, maybe it's hours of deep work or time spent on creative output. The key is to track results that align with your goals, not just the easy stuff. There's a psychological power in tracking your performance. Numbers don't lie. They give you feedback, unbiased, unemotional feedback. When you look at your data, you're no longer operating off assumptions. You're facing facts, and while that can be uncomfortable at first, it's incredibly empowering. When something isn't working, you can see it early and adjust. And when something is working, you can double down and accelerate. That kind of visibility gives you control. Tracking your progress also creates built-in motivation. When you see that you've completed 20 workouts in a row, written for 10 days straight, or closed more deals this month than last, it triggers momentum. Progress is addictive, when it's visible. But most people never feel it because they never track it. They go through the motions but don't log the reps. As a result, they're working hard without the feedback loop that builds belief. When you start seeing your own growth in real time, your confidence compounds. Measuring what matters also introduces intentionality. When you have to track something, you start to treat it differently. You stop operating on autopilot. You begin your day with purpose because you know the scoreboard is watching. That doesn't mean you become obsessed with perfection, but it does mean you start honoring your commitments to yourself. There's something powerful about seeing a checklist with boxes ticked, a spreadsheet with numbers trending upward, a habit tracker with no gap. It brings integrity to your process. In a world filled with distractions, measurement keeps you anchored. You can always return to the numbers. Even when things feel chaotic or uncertain, you can ask yourself, what's actually happening? Am I executing? Are we improving? Measurement cuts through the fog. It eliminates emotional bias and tells you the truth, whether you like it or not. And when you build the habit of looking at those metrics regularly, weekly, daily, even hourly if necessary, you start making sharper decisions fast. It's important to build a rhythm around review. Measurement without reflection is just data. But when you pause to assess what's working, what's not, what needs to change, you transform data into insight. Set time aside to review your top metrics, reflect on your actions, and refine your strategy. This rhythm of measure, reflect, adjust, repeat, is what drives consistent growth. The process doesn't need to be fancy, just whether it's a journal, dashboard, spreadsheet, or app. The key is keep it simple and keep it active. Ultimately, the goal of measurement isn't just accountability, it's clarity. It allows you to cut through the overwhelm, prioritize with precision, and make real progress. You stop chasing results and start creating them, because now you can see the exact behaviors that lead to them. You don't need to guess your way forward anymore. The data shows the path. You just need to follow it, one measured step at a time. Complexity is the silent killer of momentum. It sneaks in quietly, disguised as ambition. More tools, more steps, more moving parts. But high performers know that more isn't always better. In fact, more can often mean slower, heavier, and harder to manage. That's why the best systems in the world are built on simplicity. Simplicity doesn't mean doing less for the sake of it. It means stripping away the non-essential so the essential can move faster. When you simplify, you create space. And in that space, you multiply results. Most people don't realize how much energy they waste navigating clutter in their calendars, in their workflows, in their minds. Decision fatigue, distractions, duplicated effort, it all comes from unnecessary complexity. Every extra layer, every unnecessary option is one more opportunity to slow down or stall out. But when you simplify, decisions become easier, execution becomes cleaner, and outcomes become more predictable. It's not just about cleaning up your desk. It's about cleaning up your approach to everything. Think about the highest functioning systems in the world: air traffic control, world-class manufacturing lines, elite sports teams. What do they all have in common? Tight focus, clear roles, minimal waste. They are not complicated. They are engineered for efficiency. Every piece is there for a reason. Everything is optimized. That's what happens when you prioritize simplicity. You stop managing chaos and start building with purpose. You don't just get things done, you get the right things done with far less friction. In business, this might mean reducing the number of platforms you use, or simplifying your product offering, so your message is clear and your delivery is sharp. In personal life, it could mean tightening your morning routine to just 3 high-impact actions, or eliminating unnecessary commitments that dilute your time and energy. Wherever you apply it, the principle holds true: simplicity scales, complexity stalls. The fewer pieces you have to juggle, the faster you can move and the easier it is to repeat your wins. Simplification also creates clarity for your team, clients, and collaborators. People can't follow what they don't understand. The more complicated your systems, the more questions people ask, the more mistakes they make, and the more hand-holding you have to do. But when your systems are clear, your expectations are obvious, and your processes are easy to follow, people move faster with more confidence. That's not just good leadership, that's good systems thinking. A lot of people confuse complexity with sophistication. They think adding more layers makes their business or strategy more advanced. But true sophistication lies in making the complex simple, not the simple complex. Steve Jobs said it best: simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. Simplification is a discipline. It requires the willingness to rethink, to question, to challenge the unnecessary, and to build with ruthless clarity. One powerful way to simplify is to standardize repeatable actions, templates, checklists, workflows. These tools reduce thinking and save time. Every decision you don't have to make frees up bandwidth for something more strategic. Why reinvent the wheel when you can design it once, then let it roll smoothly every time? This is how high performers scale themselves. They don't just work harder, they create smart shortcuts that protect their time and reduce variability in their output. Finally, simplifying isn't just about efficiency. It's about peace of mind. When your systems are clean and streamlined, your brain has more space. You feel lighter. You're not bogged down by broken processes or bloated to-do lists. You can focus on what really matters with more energy, more speed, and more creativity. Simplicity creates flow, and flow multiplies everything: your impact, your income, and your inner sense of alignment. At some point on the path to high performance, you realize there's a hard limit on how much you can do with effort alone. No matter how motivated, focused, or disciplined you are, there are only 24 hours in a day. That's where automation steps in. Automation isn't just a tech trick or a productivity hack. It's a strategic decision to remove yourself from the repetitive so you can reinvest that energy into higher value work. It's how you create leverage, and leverage is how you grow without burning out. The most successful people don't do everything. They design systems that do things for them. They automate emails, scheduling, billing, onboarding, follow-ups, reporting, task reminders, social posts. The list goes on. Every task you repeat more than once is a candidate for automation. And every time you automate, you free up bandwidth, not just physically, but mentally. Automation clears the noise so you can focus on creation, strategy, leadership, or whatever work truly moves the needle. Automation also eliminates the risk of human error and forgetfulness. Let's be real, when you're juggling 100 tasks, things fall through the cracks. A missed email, a forgotten invoice, a late follow-up. But machines don't forget. Automated systems are consistent. They execute flawlessly. They don't take sick days, get tired, or have off mornings. That kind of reliability is worth its weight in gold. Especially when you're managing scale, it ensures your business runs smoothly, even when you step away. And contrary to what some people think, automation doesn't remove the human element, it amplifies it. When you automate the routine, you create space for real connection where it matters most. Instead of wasting time on admin, you can spend more time serving your clients, building relationships, mentoring your team, or innovating your offer. Automation handles the how so you can show up more powerfully in the why. It's not about removing you from the business, it's about elevating your role in it. One of the biggest blocks to automation is the belief that it'll take too long to set up. But here's the truth, the time you invest in building an automation once will pay you back every single time it runs without you. 10 minutes saved daily is over 60 hours a year. What could you do with 60 hours back in your hands? That's a full work week and then some. The ROI on automation isn't linear, it's exponential. The earlier you build it in, the more it pays off over time. And it's not just for tech businesses or big corporations. Automation is accessible to everyone now. From solopreneurs to teams of 10, there are tools that can automate everything from CRM follow-ups to calendar booking to project status updates. The key is to map your workflows step by step and identify what can be handed off to software. Start small. Even one automation can change your daily rhythm and reveal what's possible when tech starts working for you. Another powerful angle of automation is decision automation. Not everything needs to run through an app. Some things can be automated simply by setting rules and sticking to them. For example, I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. or every Friday at 4 p.m. I review metrics and plan the next week. These are routines that once decided remove daily friction and mental energy. Automation isn't just about tools, it's about building an environment where important actions happen predictably. Ultimately, automation is about owning your time. It's about refusing to spend your most valuable resource, attention, on things that don't need. Every manual task you eliminate is a vote for efficiency, freedom, and focus. You stop being the bottleneck. You stop micromanaging your life. And suddenly, your system isn't just running, it's running without you, and better because of it. If success is a game, consistency is the scoreboard. It's not talent, not luck, not even passion that separates high performers from the rest. It's the ability to show up and deliver over and over again. Consistency creates trust. It creates predictability. It creates results. But here's the key. Consistency isn't just about willpower or discipline. It's about design. When you build your systems to support consistent behavior, you stop relying on emotional strength and start relying on structural strength. Most people think they need more motivation. What they really need is more structure. They need a daily rhythm that makes winning actions automatic. That's why designing for consistency is a game changer. It's about engineering your environment, your tools, and your schedule to make success the default. If something is hard to start or easy to skip, it won't last. But if it's frictionless and embedded into your day, it becomes part of your identity. You don't just do the thing, you become the person who always does the thing. Designing for consistency starts with clarity. You can't be consistent with what you haven't defined. What are the few actions done daily or weekly that move you forward? What are the behaviors that matter most in your business, your craft, your health, or your relationships? Define those clearly. Then reverse engineer your environment to support them. If it matters, it should be visible, scheduled, and simple to start. Make it easy to win. Stack the odds in your favor. One powerful tactic is the use of visual cues. When you see a whiteboard with your weekly goals, or a calendar blocked with your deep work hours, or a checklist waiting to be completed, it nudges you back into flow. Visual triggers eliminate the need to remember what matters. They do the remembering for you. Pair that with accountability systems, like a weekly review, a progress tracker, or a public commitment, and you now have architecture built for consistency, not just hope. Consistency is also a product of energy management. If your system drains you, you won't stick to it, so your routines must be sustainable. That means scheduling breaks, optimizing sleep, managing meetings, and protecting your focus zones. The goal isn't to grind endlessly, it's to create a rhythm you can repeat for weeks, months, and years. Burnout isn't a sign of hard work, it's a sign of poor system design. Consistent execution requires capacity, not just commitment. Another crucial design principle is feedback. If you're doing the right actions, but can't see results, your motivation fades. So build a system that lets you track progress in real time. Whether it's a simple habit tracker, weekly KPIs, or a dashboard showing your business metrics. Seeing progress fuels consistency. It creates a feedback loop that says, this is working, keep going. And when that loop is built into your workflow, momentum becomes inevitable. Designing for consistency also means removing choice wherever possible. Don't leave your most important actions up to how you feel or what's most convenient in the moment. Pre-decide. Automate the decision. Have a set time to write, to call, to review, to create. Consistency suffers when every day feels like a negotiation. But when your day already knows where it's going, you get to use your energy on execution, not decision making. You free your mind to work on the work, not on choosing what to work on. Finally, consistency requires resilience. No system is perfect. Life will interrupt. You'll miss a day, a call, a deadline. But if your system is designed well, it doesn't collapse under pressure. It flexes. It allows you to bounce back quickly. You don't need perfection to build momentum. You need a structure that forgives failure and encourages return. The best systems aren't rigid. They're resilient by design. That's what makes consistency not just possible, but sustainable. Ideas are worthless without execution. Plans don't move the needle. Actions do. The best systems in the world mean nothing if you don't pull the trigger. High performers don't just think about what needs to be done. They do it, not once, not occasionally, relentlessly. That's the word. Because in a world where most people stop at 80%, the last 20% is where the breakthroughs live. Execution isn't an event, it's a habit, and it's the habit that separates dreamers from doers. Relentless execution starts with commitment, not just to outcomes, but to the process of showing up day after day, even when it's boring, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's hard. That's the discipline most people avoid. But it's where all the leverage lives. High performers don't wait for inspiration. They show up anyway. They don't get caught in overthinking. They trust the system, trust the plan, and move. Momentum doesn't come from motivation. It comes from motion. One reason most people struggle with execution is because they aim for perfection. They want every detail polished before they take a step. But relentless execution is about shipping fast, learning faster, and refining as you go. Done is better than perfect. You don't need the perfect version of the idea. You need the real-world feedback that only comes from action. The market rewards speed and adaptation, not hesitation. Execution builds clarity through action. Relentless execution also requires ruthless focus. Every day throws distractions at you. Emails, meetings, messages, noise. But when you're committed to execution, you don't chase everything. You chase what matters most. That means defining your top priorities and protecting them with urgency. No multitasking, no bouncing, just deep focused execution on the few things that actually move the needle. You can't do it all, but you can do what counts and do it with intensity. Execution is also about rhythm. You can't sprint forever and you can't jog through everything. So you build your own pace, your own system of sprints, recovery, and review. You don't execute harder. You execute smarter. You break big projects into chunks. You set deadlines and work backward. You build routines that let you stay in motion without burning out. That rhythm becomes your engine. It keeps you moving forward, even when others stall or spin out. Another key piece of relentless execution is emotional management. It's easy to execute when you're fired up, but when things go sideways, when the winds slow down, when the pressure builds, that's when your mindset is tested. High performers don't let emotions run the show. They let the mission lead. They feel the stress, the doubt, the resistance, and they move anyway. That's the difference. Emotion doesn't decide the outcome. Action does. To execute relentlessly, you also need clarity on your next step. Not the whole mountain, just the next foothold. When overwhelm hits, zoom in. Ask, what's the very next action I can take right now? That's how big things get built. One small, deliberate move at a time. When you train yourself to take action fast, you develop a bias for progress. You stop getting stuck in analysis and start building real results, brick by brick. Relentless execution is also about ownership. No blaming, no waiting, no pointing fingers. You take responsibility for what gets done and what doesn't. If something isn't moving, you don't look outside, you look inside. You ask better questions. You find a better way. Execution isn't just about effort, it's about ownership of outcome. It's the mindset that says, if it's going to happen, it starts with me. That mindset paired with consistent action is what turns good systems into extraordinary success. So here's the truth. Hustle might get you off the ground, but systems are what keep you in the air. If you want to play at a higher level, if you want results that are predictable, scalable, and sustainable, you have to move beyond grinding your way through. You have to build with intention. You have to design for performance. Because in the end, high performance isn't an accident. It's engineered. Every system you create is a statement. This is how I win. And when your systems work, you don't just work hard, you work smart. You don't just chase success, you replicate it over and over again. So stop relying on willpower. Stop depending on chaos. Build the structure that supports your greatness. Build the systems that work even when you're tired, distracted, or offline. Because when your systems are built to win, you win by default. That's the shift from hustle to high performance. Not by doing more, but by doing what matters most, better and more consistently than ever before. That's how you stop surviving the day and start dominating your field. Let's stop grinding. Let's start building, because your next level isn't waiting. It's already within reach. Let's go.